Hello and welcome to another episode of What Are You Doing? The show that spotlights you and your woodworking from basically all around the world. We're showing pictures in progress and we're trying to encourage each other to complete what we start. So let's get right into it. We got quite a few entries this week, Dan.
How many you got?
It's like 20.
Oh,
yeah, so
nice.
it's a fair amount. So this fellow's new to the show. His name is Brad Soulchin, and he made a turkey collar. Now, I had never heard of a turkey collar before. I thought I've heard of duck calls and stuff like that. And it looks like, from the picture, it looks like a little stick, and I thought
You hit it.
yeah, you tap on it. And I'm thinking, unless the turkey's a drummer or something,
Right.
he's not really going to appreciate that. But fortunately, Brad sent a little video clip with it to show how this works. So check this out.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I never would have guessed scratching on that.
No.
Though I don't know what that is. It doesn't look like it's wood he's scratching on. I don't know if that's slate or... But at any rate, really cool.
Chad, we need one of them.
I know it. I kind of actually said to Brad that I have some wild turkeys that run around on the property, and I've been trying to call them by going, "Hey, little chicky." It doesn't seem to work. So
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's what Brad made, and thanks for sharing your work with us for the first time, Brad.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Moving on, we have Don Bullock. Don made this outfeed table for his table saw, and I was kind of a little bit teasing with Don online because he made it out of the legs are 4x4 solid oak. The top is an oak plywood, and he's adding some walnut trim to it. And I thought, that's pretty fancy for a shop-used project. But at any rate, that's cool. I mean, if you want to make really nice things for in your shop, hey, that's awesome. Yeah. I prefer them down and dirty because I know I'm going to screw them up. But anyhow. Andy Farmer. So last week I have to apologize to Andy. He sent in a couple of photos, and one was his drill press stand that he was doing, but the other was a plant holder, a plant stand, I guess, that he made for his daughter. And a couple weeks ago he showed the pictures of it in progress. And then last week he sent it to me, and it was done. And I forgot to share it.
Is that the one that kind of looks like a trellis, too?
Yeah. I really liked how he had at the top here, the kind of curve to it and everything. Looked really good. He made it out of some reclaimed material, and I'm sure his daughter's going to love it. But, Andy, I apologize for that. So now we have Pat Meewissen. Pat's been, I'm sure I got Pat's name wrong, without a doubt. But Pat's been building this end table, and he's been doing it mostly out of hand tools. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he's doing it with reclaimed material as well. And he's made a raised panel for the door there. And I know he's been doing like haunch mortise and tenons on it. He's really doing a nice job with this. So sometimes our progress is slow on our projects, but we're making progress nonetheless. And that's what the show's about. So great job, Pat. Going over to Ireland now. So Mark Fitzsimons. I've been talking with Mark quite a bit. Really talented woodworker. And so he showed me this door that he built. And it's got the curve, the center circle in it and everything.
Man, that's really nice.
Very nice. And so I asked him if it was his design. He said yes, with the input of his wife. And I was like, well, man, that's pretty cool. I asked if that was for him. He said, no, it was for a customer. And guess how many doors he had to make?
How many is he going to make?
31.
31? 31 doors.
31 doors.
Like this.
And that's not CNC or anything like that. He's been having to do that like with a router and, a template, I guess.
Man, how long is that going to take him?
Well, he said this house is so big, it makes his house look like a little shack.
31 doors in the house that he's working in.
Yeah. Which, it reminds me of a story that I had a few years ago. I was doing some work for the president of Sherwin-Williams Paint, and I was out at his house, and I'm down in the basement, and it's so big, I got lost in the basement. I literally had to call the guy, and he had to give me directions
to get out of the basement.
To get out of just the basement. That is unbelievable. Biggest house I've ever been in. But anyway, so I can understand Mark being in a large house like that, but 31 doors, I'd go out of my mind trying. I feel bad because I got to make 24 shutters coming up. I couldn't imagine 31 doors. But then Mark had this great saying that his grandfather says, I'm going to pass it on, so don't quote me. This is not my quote, but I think this is a great quote. Mark's grandfather said, it takes a long time to build up a good name. I think you can admit that, in woodworking. But you can screw it up real fast.
Oh, yeah.
And so no point in taking shortcuts on the work that we do. Do your best. It may not be perfect, but just do your best. You'll get better. And if you keep that expression in mind, it takes a long time to build a good name, but you can screw it up in a second. I think that'll help us all, try to put our best foot forward. So thank you for that, Mark. Okay, so I think this fellow's new, and I love this. I love this because they phonetically spell out their name for me, Dan.
Yeah, because
I screw it up, and I know I'll still screw it up. But anyhow, so Paul Paukovits. Paul is 74 years old, and this lamp that he made was a replica of one that he made back when he was in shop class 60 years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, now he lost the original one, after all that time, but he just really enjoys woodworking, and I think he, like most of us, probably remember what our first project was. So he went back and made that lamp, and I told Paul that I was going to share with him on this episode what my very first project was, and it was this bottle opener.
Now, when did you make that?
I made this back in the 7th grade. So when I left elementary school and went to junior high, as the first time you could take shop class.
Yeah.
And this was the first thing we made. Actually, I think it was the second thing. I think the first thing was like, I don't know, like those derby cars or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I probably played with it and broke it. But this was either first or second. And, of course, back then, pop came in bottles.
Yeah.
So that's why we made it. I mean, we weren't encouraging beer drinking back then.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, that's what we use it for now.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I remember this clearly. I thought I was real clever with the shape, which I look at it now and go, that sucks.
That sucks.
But you know what? My mom, it really helped encourage me on this, because that summer I made a bunch of these, and I bought a really cheap Black & Decker bandsaw and a Black & Decker sander. And I made some and tried to sell them. I think my mom kind of forced them on her friends to buy. But that should have been my first clue. There's no money in woodworking, but there's tons of pleasure. So, at any rate, Paul, I wanted to share that with you. Thanks for sharing your pictures with us. Moving on, Danny Wilsher. Danny Wilsher said that they went fishing after a really bad storm, somewhere down south. I forgot where he said. And after the bad storm, it destroyed a lot of the docks and whatnot. So he took the material that was just washed up debris
From the destroyed docks?
Yeah, and he made this bench out of it. And he said he's going to go back and he's going to get some more. And I like the look of it. I just love like rustic stuff. And that's kind of cool. He's taking something that probably would have been going to the salvage yard or the dump if he didn't take that. So we look forward to the next thing you're going to make there, Danny. Patrick Purdy. Dan, you're going to like this project. Patrick made these simple wine and beer holders, and it's all made out of reclaimed, material.
Hey, as long as they work, it's cool with me.
Exactly. I was telling Patrick that you have a couple of beer holders. It's called your left and right hand.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. Okay, but at any rate, he says he makes them for family and friends, and I thought his comment was funny. When you make them for family and friends and give them away. all of a sudden you seem to have a lot more family
Yeah.
that shows up. That was pretty funny. John Bell, he's starting a new project, and this is the part that I love, where they show us from the very, very beginning, you know, with the concept sketch. So he's got to make a couple of barn doors, and he's going to do it out of pallet wood material, and it's got that Harrington bone pattern to it. So it should be really cool. I imagine it's probably going to be different colors on it and everything. But he said that when he was trying to save that pallet wood, as he was putting it across his joiner, he missed a nail in it. Hit the blades on the joiner, of course, ruined the blade. And you know, that's one of the reasons I hate working with pallet, you know, wood. I know it's really popular. I know everyone loves, you know, doing it. I don't for that very reason. And you know, buying a blade for it isn't a big deal, but sometimes setting the blades up on the machines can be
a little tedious.
Yeah, more work than what it's worth, it seems. So I feel bad for John on that. But nonetheless, I'm really excited to see the progress of the project. Now, I can't remember if I put this in last week or not. Sometimes I get stuff in the wrong folders or whatever. Philip Quinn, he was making this TV console for his friend, and it's got the different compartments underneath it. I was real curious if he was going to paint it or stain it. He did send me a follow-up email literally just before I came out here, and I glanced at it, and I can't remember now what he did with if it was stained or painted, but he did complete it. He was showing it to in place, so I'll probably add that photo here when you all are watching it. Right now, I tend to forget. But at any rate, thank you, Philip. So let's keep going. So Mr. Mo.
Mr. Mo.
Now, Mr. Mo. So Mr. Mo has been in his little shop. He's been working on the sink. He added the wooden hinges. We saw that last week.
Those are cool.
They are cool, aren't they?
Yeah.
Very neat. Did the wooden hinges. The latch on it was actually a design that I did, some years ago. I built a cabinet. The cabinet was in a magazine, and the article was on the whole cabinet.
Yeah.
But the magazine company told me they really just kind of liked it for the interesting way the latch worked. And he watched my video. So I think I'll put a little link at the bottom in case you guys are curious what that latch was in the project. I'll have the link below to my older video. But it's kind of neat to see, you know, some of the stuff that we do here, others incorporating it onto their project. But, you know, for the last couple of weeks, we've been teasing Mr. Mo that his sink looked like a toilet. And so this photo here, he had to show us.
Oh yeah, look there.
Yeah, there is a real toilet in there. So no more kidding you on that, Mr. Mo. Okay, moving on. Another new person of the show, and again, he tried to spell it out for me, and I will try my best to get it right. Jon Vigorito. Yeah, Vigorito. Jon Vigorito. I was really, really impressed with this because John wanted to make a fireplace mantle for his house.
Yeah.
He said he went to the stores. You know, it's one of those electric insert ones, right? Mm-hmm. He went to the stores, and he said not only were they overpriced, he said, but they were junk, the garbage.
Oh.
You know, some of them will say, like, you know, cherry or oak fireplace mantle, and it's a plastic veneered MDF. There's no real wood on it at all. But so out of frustration, him and his wife, they got online. They came up with a design that they liked, and he built it. And he said this was like the first time he ever used a table saw.
What? First
time he ever used a router. You know, he's got some crown molding on there.
It looks good.
I mean, I'm amazed.
Yeah.
Really, really talented there. So, I mean, he's got a knack for this. So, I told John he's going to be working on a table. I think he said was his next project. So, we really look forward for the pictures and the progress on that. So, thanks, Jon, for sharing that with us. Chris Cox, he's also new, and this is great. I love seeing the fact that we've got new people. I mean, I love the regulars. Don't get me wrong. Love you guys. I think it's great. The regular folks are always watching and commenting, writing in. But I'm also real excited the fact that we have new people joining us, like the neighbor dog. So we have new people joining us, like Chris. And Chris said, "Well, it'd be hard for me to screw up his last name of Cox. So to make him feel like he's part of the club, I'm just going to call him Chris Cox."
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, so Chris made this jewelry box. It's got some rustic maple on it, bloodwood, and purple heart. And, you know, the first picture where it's all kind of closed, I just see it as like, okay, there's like a lid and drawers, but then, as you can see, there's like the doors on the side that open up and everything. And he said that was his first attempt at hand-cut dovetails, and he did the half-blind dovetails, which is the harder of, you know, the ones to do. So pretty impressive there, Chris. And I'm sure he'll be sending more projects into us. Hopefully he's a new regular on the show.
Yeah.
So thank you, Chris. All right, this is a project I've really been enjoying seeing the progress. Andrew Pritchard, he's been building that cabinet with the curved legs.
Yeah.
You know, and last week we had the issue where he cut them down a little bit too short. And you know, hey, that stuff happens when you're working on something for the first time, especially if it's your own design. Doesn't always go as planned. But he's thinking about improvising with it. He thinks for the missing space to get the height he wants, he's thinking about adding a drawer. Talked about doing a dovetail drawer. He's never done dovetail doors.
That'd be cool.
And he wanted to do the half blind, just like Chris did. But I said first time doing dovetails is kind of tough. So what he could do to make the drawer look like it would be half blind. So this is a full through dovetail. So you can see, we can see the dovetails on both sides. But for a half blind, what I told him was to make it a full through dovetail, and then he could simply take like another piece of wood and put it on front, a drawer front for it. So now it kind of gives the impression like he's got half blind. That way you don't see this on the front of the drawer. You can cover it up with the drawer front. So just a suggestion until he's able to work up the practice to do the half blinds, you know, just an alternative. But at any rate, I've been enjoying watching the progress. And he's putting a stretcher to go between the two legs. And he's turning the stretcher on his lathe, but he only has a mini lathe.
Oh.
It only goes up to 13 inches, and he's got to do 30 inches. So he's doing like a little mortise and tenon on the end of each.
Add them together.
To add them together.
Yeah.
So, you know, no matter what problem we run into, there's always a solution. Sometimes we just have to be a little creative. Sometimes it's reaching out to our fellow woodworkers and asking for help and advice. No shame in that. I do it myself. So, at any rate, real exciting to watch that project. Thanks, Andrew. Paul Bernat, I think Paul is also new. I think Paul's out of Canada, if I remember right. Paul, if you're not, sorry, but I thought you were out of Canada. And he's got this little stand, a little end table that he made. He is able to get the legs out of, I think it was like an old kind of metal stand of some sort, and he took the top off. And he had some plywood, and at any rate, he made a new top for it, and he's going to put a clear coat on it. And, you know, again, that's what I like about the show. Some projects are real simple. Some are real complex. Doesn't matter where you're at. You're always more than welcome to share your stuff here. And I love the fact that he took something that was probably going to go to the garbage
and put it back together.
Yeah, and now it's going to be in his house. He's going to use it every day. So that's fantastic. So thanks for sending us the photo there, Paul. I like this next story. So Thomas Tittlemier, he made this rustic table, and I love the birch legs on it. Just really cool. Yeah, and I think he said he made it for his daughter's cabin. And any rate, they took it in the cabin, and one day they have all these bugs in the place, and it turns out that there were birch beetles that had laid eggs in the legs and had hatched and came out, and so the place was full of bugs. So
it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, Thomas told her that. Didn't I tell you it's an outside only table?
Yeah.
So again, some of these things are unexpected, but what was kind of neat was, so he's got the fish that he put on the front, and it's textured, and he said he did that with just a 1/4-inch pipe. So I don't know if he sharpened it a little bit, ground on it, but it looks like he just. But I think that's really cool that, again, you don't have to have real expensive tools.
Thinking outside the box a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if you got the money to buy the really nice tools, that's great. But, sometimes if things are tight, just look around. You might find something, that works just fine. So, again, I find this very inspiring.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Oh, again, someone new. Peter James. We have a lot of new people this week.
That's cool.
Yeah. Peter James, so he's making this mandolin.
That's nice.
Yeah. You can see it's still in progress there. And, it was just a short caption that he sent me, but I have the feeling that's not his first one. It looks pretty good. But I didn't know if that's his job or if it's just a hobby, but nonetheless, I would love to hear more about it and see some of your other pieces that are finished, Peter. So if you get a chance, send us some more.
Or play us a tune.
Play us a tune. Yeah, we can, you know what? That could be the music that leads us out on the show. So I like that, Dan. Yeah. So Peter, play us a tune, and we'll feature it next week. Okay, Matt Fairfield. Matt took this old axe head, made a handle out of ash wood, and then he did he took a little torch to it to give it kind of a burnt look. And then he sealed it with some boiled linseed oil. And I like axes. To me, it's like the most primitive tool. And if you're skilled, some of these guys are highly refined with being able to shave right to a line and everything with it. I'm not that good. But still, I think the axe is a really cool tool. And he even made his own leather sheath for it.
Nice.
Yeah,
He made that?
He made that.
Okay.
Made that. So I mean, that's a skill and craft in itself.
Right.
So I've got a fellow that made a couple for me, but that's neat. You could do it yourself. So we have Matt Robinette. Matt made this pedestal for his washer and dryer, or he's in the process of making the pedestal for his washer and dryer to get it up off the ground. I imagine because they're probably front loaders, it just makes sense that you could probably put your basket right underneath it.
Yeah.
But I imagine that's what it's for. I've been in some houses that have them. But he's cutting all the legs. He's building the whole thing out of some 2x4s, and he's cutting with a handsaw.
Okay.
Yeah, which that's cool.
That's right.
I mean, I love working with hand tools. You don't have to worry about the noise, on your ears. That's my big concern. I mean, eye protection, obviously. But when you work in a small shop, not only do you have the noise coming off of the machine, but then it bounces back off the walls, and it's twice as bad for your hearing. And I got a couple of friends, they're getting up there, but some of them are starting to experience hearing loss because they failed to wear hearing protection, so...
Yeah, I know a few people like that that's done it for years and years and years. And, I talk to them, and they don't know I'm talking to them.
I shouldn't be laughing about that. That's not nothing to be laughing about. But I'm just saying, hearing protection is really, really important. So, anyhow, the other thing I really liked about what Matt's doing there, if you look in the background, he sent me another photo. His bench that he's working on. Yeah. That's my bench.
It looked familiar.
Yeah. So again, it's a super easy bench. In fact, and I'll put a link at the bottom in case someone wants to buy the plans to it. It's a very simple bench, a very handy bench. The bench actually separates in two to make two equal size saw holes besides a nice working height. So anyhow, it's just kind of cool to see stuff that we do here. Others are able to use it and incorporate it into their woodworking. So, all right. So another new person. Definitely, I'm gonna screw this one up. Definitely. So I'm gonna first put the name here, and then you can all watch me try and butcher this. So it's Esko. No, I think Esko might have posted before. Anyway, Esko Litovara. That's what I'm going with.
That's what you're going with.
That's what I'm going with.
You're sticking with it.
I'm sticking with it.
Okay.
So he's got a customer, and he's restoring these old doors, and he's putting new glass in it. I think he said he's got to paint them. Old doors are really cool. I love doors. There's something about doors that kind of are going to tell you what you're going to see in the room. It's like the first impression.
Yeah.
So I think like an entry door in a house should be nice. I think, going into any rooms. And I like the fact that this has got the glass on it, so it's going to let a lot of natural light in. Again, natural light, you just can't beat it. So, I like doors, and I think it's great. It's a customer, so he's getting paid for this. That's always a good thing. Let me tell you, though, Esko, don't try and sell any kind of pop bottle openers. So stick with the doors. And then the last one for this week is Jeff Waggoner. I've met Jeff and his family a couple of times. Great people. So kind, so nice, and incredibly talented. So this cabinet and this chair was made by his 17-year-old daughter, Jada.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that is some good level, high craftsmanship skill there. And the cabinet has 5 hidden compartments in it.
5 hidden?
5, yeah. In case 4 wasn't enough.
Right.
Maybe one more hidden thing. I don't think I have anything nice enough worth hiding.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just neat. And I love the fact that Jeff and both his kids are really into making furniture and good quality stuff there. And so thanks for sharing that with us, Jeff. Now, Dan, I just got to finish the show with something a little bit different.
Okay.
So, I've been getting a lot of emails this week, a lot of questions. It's actually been really, really good stuff. But we've been doing this show, since, I think, March. So, for several months now. And just this week alone, no other time, just this week alone, I had 2 requests come in that complain about this outlet back
Really?
here. Yeah. They're saying that it's slightly,
crooked?
Yeah, slightly crooked. So, for them, I'm going to fix this, okay? So just bear with me a second. Let me fix this one. Because I don't want it said here that we don't pay attention to the viewers, and we want to accommodate everyone. So how's that look? Is that better?
That's perfect, Jay.
Excellent. Okay, so there you go. Anything to add, Dan?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, so make sure you check out Wednesday's show for what we're doing. We're going to talk a little bit about some tools and, whatever else comes up. So until then, keep sending in those pictures. And if you want to have your pictures on the show, make sure you send it to stantonfinefurniture@gmail.com. And of course, if you have any woodworking questions on the projects as you're doing the build, feel free to write me. I will do my best to walk you through it and help you get those projects completed. So until next time, keep on dancing.